Manchester United, total agreement, done deal for Tyrell Malacia. He will be a Manchester United player. And with Frenkie de Jong being a de facto done deal, the new financial year and kit launch being absolutely imperative for the announcements of these new deals as Man United move into the Ten Hag era, a bid is expected this weekend for Lisandro Martinez to challenge Arsenal Football Club, who are leading the race. The market's on fire. Man United mean business. Smash the like and share button. Your chance to phone in and have your say. Leave us your comments below. Let's go. It's Friday morning. The weekend is going to be another busy one. The transfer market over the course of today, Saturday, Sunday is going to be busy. So strap yourselves in. Make sure you've got terrace notifications turned on. Make sure you're part of the notifications group. Link in the description. With 10,000 of you in there now, which is absolutely amazing. But Man United are going to really start work soon. And I've seen over the last few days, people talk about we've got a bottleneck of signings. We've got to start announcing them so we can move on to the next ones. I hope people realize that once the deals are agreed, the negotiation team move on to the next deal. It then goes into the lawyers internally. It then goes into the social media teams, the production teams, and everybody in-house. Actually, a lot of the work then goes over to what the position at the football club called the player liaison officer, who then picks up a lot of the slack around this. Frenkie de Jong's deal, personal terms, done. Tyrell Malacia, personal terms, done. Deal, fees with clubs, agreed. All of this is out the way. Man United are only delaying the announcements, one, for the launch of the new football kit, and two, the new financial year is now in. There'll be a financial accounting reason for a lot of this, not just for Man United, but the teams that they're buying from as well. But the big thing for Man United is the new kit launch. They're going to want to make these announcements big. They're going to want the new branding, the new kit to be there, because they want you to go and buy that kit, by the way, and it will work. It works every single year. But in terms of the news that is out right about now, as you can see, this was put out yesterday, and it wasn't really focused on too much by very many people across sort of social media, and it was very much that the deal is done. And yesterday he spoke about his terms. He's obviously speaking about Tyrell Malacia. They are not so complicated because he already knew what he could earn at Lyon. Man United only had to go a bit over that. And that's what Manchester United essentially did with this young man. They saw what he was, the transfer offer that was made, the transfer that was being offered and that was made by Lyon. Man United went in, they offered a couple £1 million more, and they offered him around £10,000 to £15,000 a week extra in salary. And of course, the lure of Manchester United is much, even though Lyon are a very good team, very established side, Manchester United are Manchester United and Manchester United. And you've got one of the best up-and-coming managers in the world, the Dutch connection that scouted you for over a year, that wanted to bring you to Ajax. It makes all the difference. He will be a Manchester United player. I am absolutely cast iron certain of this. Everybody, again, sometimes we have this problem in the UK of not wanting to listen to the international press, and I don't really understand it. Everything that the Barca press have said about De Jong leaving Man United has pretty much happened. Everything that the Dutch have said about the Tyrell Malacia situation has pretty much happened. I think a lot of the UK, I get this theory that the international press, like, do you think Gerard Moreno in Barcelona, do you think that any of the Dutch journalists care if they get bantered online by a Man United fan from Clacton-on-Sea that said, you said it was going to be done and it's been 2 more days? They don't care. I think some of the British journalists really care about being right and nothing changing on their watch, which is mad because the world does change very quickly when it comes to transfers. But there we go. Good morning to all of you. Good morning, Ali. Good morning, Charlie. Hope you're well. Morning there to CJ, another one of our members. Thank you to everyone that's been gifting out memberships as well. You can, instead of super chatting, gift memberships now to other people. And we've got a big new launch for our membership program for the start of the season. So become a member now from as little as 99p, but squad member and above is really where you want to be. Are you going to lose Martinez? Listen, this is what's come out this morning from the Daily Mail. It's worth reading this. The Daily Mail said that sources in Holland say Man United are expected to make a push for Lisandro Martinez over the weekend, and that the pull of Ten Hag would sway any bidding war. Now, I know Arsenal fans have been fearful. I know Arsenal fans have been worried. I know Arsenal fans have been a little bit apprehensive about the situation with Lisandro Martinez. And I've seen that in the way in which Gooners have kind of played the deal down in the last few days. So a lot of Gooners that I speak to are sort of, Gunnar Souls tweeted this. I've seen quite a few because they are advanced. They are leading the race. And I'm only sharing the news which other credible journalists, outlets and sources are saying. But I think Arsenal fans have this deep underlying fear, worry and concern that if and when Manchester United make their bid, make their approach, they will damage any opportunities that Arsenal have got. So I think Arsenal fans are sort of holding back. They're not hyping this deal up in the same way they did Rafinha. However, what's really intriguing about this is to see whether Manchester United have actually... whether Manchester United are actually able to prove that they've actually hoodwinked the media. And I speak about hoodwinking the media because they've convinced a lot of people. And I've even seen some of the biggest Man United content creators talk about this elusive, this almost Scarlet Pimpernel-esque £100 million overall budget, no more than that. And of course, Martinez, Tyrell Malacia, and De Jong would use all that money. Of course, they're looking at Christian Eriksen on a free. So let's see what kind of happens in that space. I believe there's more than £100 million to spend. And of course, some of that will be raised through the sale of individuals. All clubs have to sell to buy. There's a narrative that only certain clubs do that. Man United have just been absolutely awful at it, which is one of the reasons why we have to be diligent with that budget. I think one of the reasons why the Glazers, they do allow the club to spend at times, but they also have shut down lots of managers buying the players they want. But this is also because Man United hemorrhage money at both ends. And this is where Man United fans have got to develop... I need to say rude then. Man United have got to develop a better understanding of the transfer market. This notion of, I don't care how much we spend or how much we sell them for. We've got to get rid of the deadwood and we've just got to buy. Well, then what happens 2 years in is the manager needs another player and the Glazers say no because the well is dry. And as the brilliant philosopher and poet Craig David said, you don't miss your water until the well runs dry. And that's the way Man United operate. We dry it out all the time because what we end up doing is we spend 25 million on Tyrell Malacia and we only end up selling a 25 million pound player for 8 million quid. You do the maths and you've lost a lot of money. You've lost sort of anywhere between 20 and 25 million pound across both deals. That extra 25 million pound is the difference between signing Anthony and not. So United fans should be celebrating the frugal, the economical, the almost the tight-fisted approach Man United are going with all these deals. Yes, it may slow things down because clubs try to sting Man United, but you need to get behind the new process. That doesn't mean you think the Glazers are brilliant. It doesn't mean you have to say all's well at the club, but the way we're operating is elite end right now. We need to get the deals over the line. Erik Ten Hag needs to make us fall in love with this football team again. But Man United are operating like a proper football club, whether people like to hear it or not. That is essentially what is going on. Sharik here said, Richard Arnold has briefed the media that we don't have much, so we don't get ripped off. I do believe we have 200 million. After Martinez, we could get Anthony and possibly Tielemans. I've got some Tielemans news coming up later on today. I know a lot of people saying, what about Chelsea? What about Arsenal? That news is coming later today. Done deal show with the brilliant Dean Machine at 5 p.m. UK time. So make sure you're tuning in. But there is talk about Tielemans and other things. And I think that's why Arsenal fans, I think there's a little bit of, because Arsenal have done brilliantly so far this summer. Their approach, the targets, the deal, the two deals have landed. But of course, they called their interest on Youri Tielemans to go for Rafinha, to go for Lisandro Martinez. If they miss out on Lisandro Martinez and Rafinha, they have to. They have to get Tielemans. Otherwise, fans start to get frustrated. We'll talk about that later on today, though, and see what people think. Terry, who do you think Rafinha will sign for? I'm still not convinced at this moment that Barcelona have the money. So my money right now is on Chelsea. But if Barcelona put in this official bid of 60 million, then I think he's going Barcelona. This isn't about sitting on the fence. This is presenting the facts, just as the likes of Ben Jacobs do, Dean Jones do on the terrace all the time. This is about the actualities of transfers, and that's that players are far more fluid and open to joining multiple clubs than fans like to believe. And I'm so glad that this transfer window is really educating football fans. And I got a rude awakening to the transfer window a few years back, talking to journalists, talking to agents, and I always used to think it was just like FIFA, just like Football Manager. And then you realize, no, the day that I heard a football player called training work changed my whole view of football. It really did. Hark here says, morning, Terry. Bit off topic, but curious on your content plans for the World Cup. Hopefully we get Yuri and Martinez. The Football Terrace and Snack Media have got very big plans for the World Cup. I'm not going to reveal them, just in case someone steals the idea. But the idea we've got is out of this world. We've got loads of new ideas coming up. We've got a new style watch along. I don't know if you saw the tweets yesterday. We're going to have open auditions. We want to get a fan or two from each of the top six and some of the clubs around it, the West Hams, Newcastles, Leicesters, etc. We've got new style watch along starting that are different from anybody else on socials, and the club specific podcasts are coming back. So that United show, that Arsenal show, that Tottenham show, all exclusive on Twitch. So make sure you're following our Twitch channel. Make sure you get that done, and you'll see more movement in those areas. The Terrace has got a huge new package, and of course, our members, 2 or 3 new shows per week, only for members coming as well. We're ramping things up next year. Now that I've got I'm getting a staff of people, so it isn't just me by myself predominantly day by day. So that's coming for all of you. In all honesty, the Eriksen deal I'm cool about. De Jong, Malacia, Eriksen, Tielemans, Anthony, and the centre-back Martinez can be an excellent window like the hijackings. They're set the price for us to swoop in. Listen, if Man United ended up with all those, if Man United actually signed all those players, legitimately, it would be one of the best summers that we've had. The reason that I say that is because those players really feel like they fit the stylistic approach that Ten Hag is going to go for. And in fact, when you add up all those prices, you add it all up, you're looking at, if you net it off, because people, again, no one will use net, but by the way, if Man United do that and we sell a few people, nobody will net it off with net spend. They'll just do a total spend. But that would be a good summer. I don't think Man United are going to be able to get Tielemans. I really don't believe that is possible, in my opinion. I think he is a shoo-in for Arsenal. I would be absolutely flabbergasted if anybody came in and took him away from Arsenal. He really wants to be there. A year in the making for Arsenal Football Club. I can't see how that deal doesn't go through. Thoughts on de Ligt? Look, I think my thoughts on de Ligt are really quite basic, if I'm being honest. He wants to come to the Prem. Chelsea are in the best position to sign him. They have the money. They have the squad position. They have the prowess, Champions League football, Thomas Tuchel. There is, again, United were loosely linked to him, the whole Ten Hag link, but I think he's destined for Chelsea. The one issue you may have is it's either going to be Werner plus a bit more cash, 45, 50 mil, or it's going to be 30, 35 mil plus Christian Pulisic, who is valued at a higher rate than him. So, yeah, it's going to be a real interesting one to see what happens in that regard. Derek, yes, I just sort of said that. Yeah, I agree. I think that's true. I really appreciate how active you're being, Terry. Not a problem. Listen, I love the transfer market. And look, I do my absolute best to present you with not just my opinion, but what various journalists and outlets are saying. I get a lot of stick for it online, to be honest. And I want to thank the Football Terrace community for standing behind me and backing me at all times, because this summer's been a weird one for me, where a lot of big accounts, big aggregators, look, Terry, keep spreading like contradictory reports. Well, that's because there are contradictory reports out there. But this is what the weirdest thing I ever see on socials is. And let me explain this to you. By the way, smash the like button. Let's get it past 500 likes, please. I kind of look at it along the lines of this. And I want to make sure I say this in the right way. I see people calling it contradictory reports when the reports come from different people. Equally, a player being open to joining 2, 3, 4 clubs at the same time is normal. It's just that we've been conditioned to not believe it. You know, there'll be a report from Spain that says De Jong is happy to join Man United, and a report from England that says he's deliberating. Football fans call that contradictory reports. No, that's two independent sourced reports from different people. It's your job to decipher it and decide which you think is right. They're not contradicting each other. It's only a contradiction if those reports come from the same persons, maybe on the same day. Those reports are, Jamie Jackson's a great example, very good journalist, said that he believed or was told that Eriksen had rejected Manchester United. He's now changed his tune on it. Do you know why? Because he's been given new information. It's not contradictory. It's the ebb and the flow of the transfer market. And sometimes, so Ben Jacobs the other day was like, Man United don't know that they're putting a bid in. But he was very open when he said, but this information I've got is already 2 days old. So we're now looking at that information from him from Wednesday as actually being 4 days old. The transfer market changes in 4 days. Don't listen to everything that's said on one day and expect it to stay that way for the entirety of the summer. That's my point. Ronald here says, Terry, do you have any City fans in your panel? Just wondering. We do have City fans and we're reaching out to more. And that the open auditions are there. We're looking. We're going to proactively approach some people as well. And what we want to create around watch-alongs, as I say, is going to be very different to what any other channel on socials is doing. The reason for that is because, listen, what Don Robbie does, what Goldbridge does, what True Geordie do are amazing. So there's no point trying to replicate that. That's already done. You know, the things that the terraces, you know, the football terrace was the first real like fan channel that covered multiple teams. You know, we did that because I was a little bit bored of just being a single club channel because there's loads of people doing it. You know, the way we kind of launched our panel style match reactions, nobody was doing that. You know, then we started and lots of other people followed suit, phone-in shows, the first to do it, you know, and in the YouTube space, not the first to do it in the world. Of course, Talk Sport and, you know, watch-alongs weren't even invented by anyone on YouTube. These fan zone used to exist on Sky. All these things are adaptations, but we try and like to do things that are a little bit different from everybody else because it's just weird to me to go, all right, well, they're doing a show like that. They're going to do it. Like, it's great. What I love about this industry is that lots more people now are doing multiple club panel shows. You know, you've got the Big Six. You've got Six on Igal's channel. You've got multiple channels now. You've got the Big Six Bants channel. You know, there's so many channels out there now. And in fairness, let me go back to this. The original people that were sort of doing it, semi-doing it, were the Football Banter Show, who are now Coppish, where they had multiple teams and they covered multiple clubs. And I liked their idea. And it was like, I'm going to move into something along. We just covered a broader range. So, yeah, we've got loads of stuff in the pipeline. So we're really looking forward to it. We really, really are. Spurs just put a pic of a pigeon on Twitter. What's the relevance of the pigeon? I don't understand it. Am I missing something here? What am I missing about the picture of that? Remember that many clubs all inquire about many players and wires get crossed. Some yeah, listen, wires do get crossed in these deals as well. United have hijacked Arsenal. I can't wait to hear this. Listen, lots can happen over the coming days. It really, really could. But what I need from you all right now is that big fat like button to be smashed. I need the subscribe button to be hit. I do. We're going to open up the lines now for you to come on and have your say. I'm going to put that into the live comments section now. We're talking Tyrell Malacia. We're talking about Lisandro Martinez. We're talking about De Jong. If you want to speak about things outside of it, feel free to. But we have got Chelsea, Arsenal, and Tottenham streams coming up later on today. So we'll cover multiple clubs every single day. You know, Spurs yesterday morning as an example when news breaks. But you can call in now. Oh, is it because Richarlison does the pigeon celebration? Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'm not au fait with that sort of stuff. I'm so old. But that deal was done yesterday. That deal, I'm really mad with it. As soon as we get the kind of here we go, or you get Ornstein say it's done, I still don't know why fans, when's the announcement? I'm like, it's done, bruv. Move on to the next one. I think that's because my job when I worked in sales, what I used to do was I was what they used to call a hunter. So I'd go out and proactively approach businesses, work the deals out, get the deal signed off, and then I'd move it to an in-house team to like finalize it, and then I'd move on to another target. So I think I'm kind of that way with transfers. Once they're announced as like agreed, I move on. They're finished to me. It's like with De Jong and Tyrell Malacia. I'll keep you guys informed, but mentally I'm relaxed because they are done. They are dusted. They are over the line, 110%. Any news on Cucurella? It's gone a little bit quiet on Cucurella, but it's expected to get done and be completed. That's going to happen. I'd be very surprised if we tweeted about this yesterday morning. Calvin Phillips medical in the last 24 hours. That's set to be announced today, and then they'll probably move on to Cucurella. The one thing that does slow deals down is the announcements. But the announcements are so important now because it's about creating a social media buzz. And if you know anything about algorithms, if I release a bit of content now and then another bit of content straight after, it kills this content. Like YouTube doesn't push both, it pushes one. So if Man City announced the signing of Calvin Phillips today and then 3 hours later Cucurella, one will overshadow the other. They want to get as much bang for their buck on both. It's why Gabriel Jesus was done 2 weeks ago. But they delayed the announcement of the agreement for a week, and then they've built up the anticipation for the release. Why? Because it will go mental, because Arsenal fans are clucking for it. Clucking they are. They really, really are clucking, but there we go. First on the show this morning with me, my guy back with us. The Aussie Gooner's going to be here. We are talking the hijack. We haven't spoke for a few days. It'll be interesting to get his take. We're talking Tyrell Malacia as well. So get yourselves onto the terrace, smash the like and share button. There we go. Morning, my friend. How are you?
Oh, yeah, look what's going on in the transfer window, eh? Finally, United have made moves, huh? Everybody was scared shitless that they weren't going to do anything. Really? Man Weirdos. United? Seriously?
Weirdos.
Fucking seriously, man. We all knew that the business was going to be conducted. It's just slowly but surely, and getting the right players in. De Jong done and dusted. Malacia done and dusted. And now a fight for Martinez. And that's going to be a fun one. That's going to be interesting, man.
Yeah, that fight for me is so intriguing because what I've noticed in the last 24 hours is Arsenal fans have stopped being as excited since the news that Man United are likely to come in as it arrived. Does that make sense? It's almost like I'm going to just hold back a little bit in case, because I think Arsenal fans got kind of caught on the hop. We had it on our show on Tuesday where Gooners in the chat and Jess was on the show, was like comfortable with Rafinha. Where's the space for him at Chelsea? And literally an hour after the show finished, bang, Chelsea had a bid accepted. And I think that's the kind of concern for Gooners. But how confident are you at this moment that if Man United get a bid accepted, that you'll match the bid and or be able to get it over the line?
Well, the jump for Rafinha was a big money spend for a player that maybe, I'll be honest, we didn't really need. Okay, it's the icing on top of the cake. But now that you pull that money away from Rafinha and you look at the mathematics, Arsenal need a number 8 and they need a left back. If you think about the money that we need to spend on Rafinha, it's doable if you split the money down. So Tielemans is still doable, and this deal for Martinez is definitely doable, and it would be a fucking good spend if we got that player. And I think right now, I don't think Mikel Arteta is looking for squad depth as a sense. I think he's looking for when Tini gets injured, this guy comes in and he starts, and there's a chance that Tini won't get back in the squad.
Yeah, no, listen, I think that's could be true. I think with this, Lisandro, again, if this is where Arsenal fans have got to keep the pressure on the neck, the same as United fans with the Glazers. If you were willing to pay 50 million, 55 million for Rafinha and you miss out, that money's there available. It's like you have to go and get other targets. I think with Lisandro Martinez, people speak about him speaking DM, left back. So I went and had a look. In the last 3 seasons, predominantly plays centre back. Last year, every game, in terms of starting, he might have got moved in there during games, but he started centre back. I think it really depends. This is where, like, Paul is overrated. I think what a lot of it's going to come down to is the package, and not just money, but we want you to be a starting centre back versus we want you to be a versus. So most Gooners have sort of suggested he'll be covering centre back, left back, DM. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe at 24, he's like, I want to be in one position predominantly and push forward. One of the things that I remember, one of the things I remember reading about Fabinho when he was on his way to Liverpool is that other teams that approached him wanted to use him because he played right back quite a bit for Monaco. Teams are talking about him being versatile. Someone talking about using him as a right back. And he was like, I want to be a DM. I don't want to be a right back. Where Liverpool said, we are going to, barring injury, we're going to utilize you in that middle. So it wasn't even just the money and Liverpool were doing brilliant at the time. A lot of it was very much to do with the position that the club were offering him. So what I'm very intrigued about, again, if Arsenal say we want you to be one of our main centre-backs, which is plausible, and Man United say you're going to be backup, then I think then he's picking Arsenal 110%. So I think we're not privy to exactly what the clubs are offering and what they're saying, but I think that's going to play like a really, really sort of pivotal part in this. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. But I'm enjoying it. And what's crazy about the transfer market right now is like all of this is going on, but at the same time, we've still got 2 months of it left.
Yeah.
And there is a feeling, and I think we have to calm ourselves down. It feels like it's nearly deadline day, but it's literally we've got 2 months left of this. Like, people need not panic, and I think there's been a big push by fans at the moment to we want everything done before pre-season, because I think it's only 5 weeks to the start of the campaign and everything else. But it's honestly, it's very difficult because like Spain's transfer window only opened yesterday. So there's so many kind of knock-on effects and everything else kind of going on in these areas at the minute. It's such an interesting one for me. It really, really is. But are you still comfortable with what Arsenal are kind of doing?
At the moment, yeah. I still look, the Rafinha run. I like that we showed some ambition, but I think we all knew in the end of the day, like, it's a player that's going to add. Yeah, it's going to be great to have a right wing, another one. But right now, Arsenal have got a midfield like a pub toilet door, and we ain't looking at it. You know, I mean, we've got a left back that's made out of toothpicks, and we ain't talking about it. I'm happy that we've gone over now, and I'm unhappy that Rafinha isn't part of the squad. Big up Chelsea for getting that. But I'm happy that we're at least going over it, and we're looking at players that we need. Lisandro Martinez, I want him as a left back, not a centre back. And to be perfectly honest, he's not the tallest bloke in the world either. So I see him better as a left back. But I'd like to see Arsenal start focusing on the positions that we require players in, not just going for anyone that's available, but literally, we need a number 8, go out and get a number 8. We need a left back, go out and get a left back. Much like Man United are doing, if you think about it, because that's what you're doing. If you think about it, you needed a midfielder, you ain't got a midfielder. You need a left back, you ain't got a left back. You need a winger, and what are you linked with? Right winger and Anthony.
Got one, yeah. No, I totally agree. I think it's going to be so intriguing to see what happens, because this is the first summer in ages where multiple teams are legitimately fighting out for a number of players and in very similar positions. So it's very intriguing to see what's going to happen in that space. It's an Aussie Gooner. Always a pleasure to speak on the terrace, my friend. And we'll chat again soon. Cheers, buddy. Thank you very much, my guy. Thank you, Steve-O. Cheers. Listen, people, you can phone in and have your say. The link is pinned to the live comment section. Now, I want to hear from you. Dennis here says, next, Lenglet and Spence. Yeah, listen, Spurs have been some really good business, and I know that not all of their signings are fashionable, but the age of their players they're buying are so important. The majority mid to late 20s, established, experienced, and they're exactly what your manager wants. And that there, I think, is so important. They're exactly what the manager wants. Exactly what the manager wants. And it's key. It's key. It's absolutely key. South London's finest. Hope you're well, my friend. We need a winger, and we can't afford to burn out Saka. He'll become another Wilshere. Do you know what's interesting? South London's finest. I sort of feel like when it comes to, I get what you're saying there, and this is where Arsenal fans have got to be a little more true to their original opinion. One of the reasons to be very excited about Rafinha was because you need that, either a better player in the team, or you at least need a backup of a high quality that gives more rotation options. Because if you start the season, yes, Gabriel Jesus is an extra player to start up front. But if you don't buy another inside forward, you are predominantly in the same position you were in last year. In fact, you're in the same position you were in last year with more games because you've got the Europa League. So Arsenal 100% need a different person other than Rafinha. The money's there because you bid it for Rafinha. There are other options out there. So I do agree with you on that. That's something that Arsenal fans, I think they know in their heart of hearts. Spurs are doing good business because Conte has applied the pressure, something Erik ten Hag hasn't done. You think Erik ten Hag isn't asking for new players? Where have Man United fans got this from? And I'd love to know. I've seen, I saw Goldbridge yesterday saying that, alluding to ten Hag maybe being a puppet. Because of the sort of believing this, we finished second 2 years ago and we shouldn't take that seriously. I disagree. I think we came second a couple of years ago and we got very lots of talented players. We were Moments FC without a system and become second. So give the players that can have those moments a good system, and we'll improve on last year. Yes, it was our worst Premier League season ever, but I do think there's a in my opinion, a misconception or a wrong reading of the situation. We weren't as bad as we were last year because of an overall lack of quality. Of course, there's lack of quality in certain positions. That's why we're buying players. It's not a kind of polarized opinion here. But our players stopped trying. Our players stopped running. Our players lost heart. Our players lost hope. Our players down tools. And that was a bigger problem last year than the lack of quality. Because with the vast majority of games we were in it, could have won it. There just wasn't that push, that fight, that energy to get over the line. And the vast majority of the players in our squad will be exponentially better than they were last year. United are not going to fix every single problem inside one summer. And we are probably going to sign around 5 players. 5 players in one summer, I think is very, very good. I think he's very, very good indeed, especially when we've still got lots of talent. There's still loads of talent in this squad that we don't necessarily need to move on straight away. That's my opinion. You may have a different one. Smith here says Elise from Palace, inverted left. Listen, and Palace have got a number of great wingers inside forwards that I think Arsenal should be focusing on. You might even be able to get Elise cheaper than you're able to get somebody like Rafinha. Now, he also is a youngster, needs a bit more development. I think the great thing about Rafinha is he improved your first team because Rafinha is better than any of the inside forwards already at Arsenal. So it was like you're adding quality on top rather than development underneath. But Elise, a very, very talented football player, no doubt about it. Terry, we're not competing with those players. You say they're not good enough for top 4, but they got top 4 2 years running. And if they would have tried hard last season, we'd have got top 4. We were only a handful of points away from top 4 last year, and they weren't trying. And we started terribly because of everything that went wrong. This team has got top 4 players because these teams have made top 4. We've got players in this team that have won Champions Leagues. We've got players in this team that won league titles. We've got players in this team that have scored 20-plus goals multiple seasons on the bounce. There's talent in this team. I think Man United fans have been brainwashed into believing there's zero talent, and I think it's wrong. Conte is going to cash because Spurs need to invest in a squad and manager. And they are getting it. I think too many players, by the way. I think 7, 8 players. I think it takes too long to integrate for some managers, especially with the type of football you're trying to play and the style. I want Man United to go for precision, quality over quantity. If we can't get a player who's a preferred choice, I don't want us to go to choice 3, choice 4, choice 5. We've done that before, has not worked for us. Let's go for a different approach. Apart from the top 2, the other teams all had poor seasons. They absolutely did in certain ways and forms. Arsenal's was quite a good season, to be honest with you. They improved massively. Spurs under Antonio Conte did very, very well indeed, no doubt. Chelsea was very good. It was just this middle period of the season where it all kind of fell apart. And then after the sanctioned element, it kind of fell apart. There was a lack of focus. But they'll be back again. Don't you worry about that. Chelsea will be back again. We're going to get Baz on the show next, I think, to have his say. I can see the camera facing up to the sky. We're going to get him on and see what he's got to say. Man United had a Maguire issue and you guys did not want Conte. They didn't want Conte. And listen, if Erik ten Hag flops and Conte wins trophies and titles with Tottenham, then we can say we made a mistake. But I'm not going to panic about that right now because the answers will come to fruition. I am happy with the style of play that we're going to attempt to have under Erik ten Hag. I know that Antonio Conte is a better and more successful manager so far than Erik ten Hag, but I'm happy with the approach my club has gone in. And I'm very relaxed about it. I'm very at ease about it. I know not everybody is, and some people want to banter, some people want to make fun, but we'll see what happens. We'll see the wood for the trees. You got to think as well. Antonio Conte's Man United got beat. Spurs got beat by the worst Man United team in Premier League history last year. Like, they're very good, but Man United are able to beat them. And with Ten Hag as our manager, with the players we're buying, with the improvement from our players, we'll beat Tottenham. And Tottenham can make the top 4, but Man United next season will be able to make the top 4. Chelsea will be able to make the top 4. Arsenal will. I don't think any of the teams are going into the season with like a terrible chance of making it. I think they'll all do pretty well indeed. Baz is coming on the show now to have you say. What are you saying, Baz?
Hello, mate. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Who do you support, Baz?
I'm a Spurs fan.
Lovely, mate. What do you want to say, my friend?
No, I'm just saying. I think exactly from what you've been saying over the last couple of weeks and days. I think the fact that we're just getting even though it is quantity, there is some real quality in there. I think like Perisic, a lot of Arsenal fans, like especially Gal and all them, they're all saying that age is a problem, but I think just experience is. I mean, look at Thiago Silva. No one bats an eyelid when they talk about Thiago Silva with his age. He's still Rolls Royce at the back. So. Even Ronaldo. I'm not saying Perisic is on their level, but age is just a number these days. Just with the nutrition and sports science that goes into football these days, it's just irrelevant.
Mate, you're absolutely spot on. When Man United wanted to buy Perisic, or Jose wanted Perisic back in 2008, 17, 18, around that time, there was this notion created by certain Man United fans online around 28 is too old, shouldn't buy 28-year-olds. It was then, and it remains now, an abomination of an opinion. It's a ridiculous opinion, which, again, naive youngsters online pick up on, because young people, when you're like a kid, 12, 13, you're learning about football, because 3 or 4 years before that, you were still playing with action men. You weren't watching football and learning about it generally in the way you do as you go into your teens. And I just think some people are so easily influenced by one person or two people's opinions. Yes, it's great to sign the 18, 19, 20-year-olds who are going to be stars of the future. Yes, it's good to get those 22 to 25-year-olds experience and moving into their pomp. But what you sometimes need are experienced winners with still fit, but just the experience they bring you is almost a commodity in itself. Perisic comes in after experiencing multiple leagues, World Cup finalist. He comes in, and interestingly, you look at your actual squad. Who in your squad is more experienced and a bigger winner and been there and done it more than Perisic? You know, not very many of your players. And I think that anyone putting it down because of his age is stupid. He isn't going to play 60 games for you next year in all comps. He is going to be used sparingly at times, but used in the right positions. You know, you guys are playing, Burnley got relegated. You guys are at home to, I don't know, Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth have been promoted. I don't know, actually. He might not start, but when you're playing Man United, when you're playing Tottenham, when you're playing Liverpool, that's when he'll be utilised in you. Do you get where I'm coming from? Like, I think people are just, sometimes with football, they annoy me because it's almost like...
Well, I don't want to... You said when we play Tottenham, I don't want to play Tottenham.
No, not Tottenham. Sorry. When you know what I mean? When you play some of the other big teams, or you get games away from home and you need that experience, that's where it's going to be utilised.
No, yeah, 100%. It's just I'll tell you now. Had Arsenal last season had experience like that, they get top 4 without a shadow of a doubt.
Listen, yeah.
Like with the experience they've got now, like players like Xhaka, even though he's a senior player, he hasn't won much. You had players that are experienced, have won things, they get top 4 without a shadow of a doubt. And I don't know. I've got no doubt in my mind about that.
Listen, Baz, great points being raised there, my friend. Thanks for calling into the show. A lot of people saying you look like Ten Hag. I think most bald white men look like Ten Hag.
I'm sat in my white van getting called Ten Hag. That's lovely.
There we go, mate. Listen, Baz, top man. Speak to you soon,
Cheers,
old mate.
mate.
Cheers, Baz. Take care. Bye. I look like Ten Hag until the hair transplant. You know, it's just the way it is. We have some super chats here. First one says, the environment in a team is so overlooked. Ollie created a good environment, which is why they did well, but it fell apart because he was trying to keep everyone happy. Same reason GS has done, Southgate has done well with England. And you are right, like Southgate's managerial ability compared to his ability to manage the personalities and the morale of the squad are vastly different. What you need is someone that has the coaching and technical capabilities that equal their man management, i.e. Jose, i.e. Pep. And sometimes you have to break those eggs. And that's the one thing. Ollie did the whole arm around the shoulder approach, and it worked in the short term. But then people became unhappy because they were all being told, oh, you're going to get a chance. I love you. I like you. And they can't all be used. What he actually needed to do is be more ruthless and move people on and sell people and be a bit more cutthroat at times and keep his arm around the people that he wanted. That's why it fell apart. Equally, the club had expectation on it last year. And when we signed Varane and Sancho and Ronaldo, and the expectation increased, I also think there was a point with these players where they didn't want Ollie anymore. I think after losing to Villarreal in the final, there was a breaking point in these players that said, we love Ollie the man, but he's taken us as far as he can. We need to move on. He gets a new 3-year deal. We make big signings. The expectations higher, but the players didn't believe. They didn't believe in how they were playing, and it fell apart. Morale was broken. A new guy came in, really rocked the apple cart. Some of the bad apples really kicked off. That had a knock-on effect. And then we had some of the players that have been performing start to behave terribly, and they don't get forgiven for that straight away. They've got the way those players, the Brunos, the Rashfords, the way they get forgiven is by performing on the football pitch. But there are players in this Man United squad, no shadow of a doubt. Terry, players down tools still concerned if talents. Sorry, Terry, players down tools still concerned if talent doesn't work hard enough. What's the point? The players getting free passes without a problem. Why they raise their outputs if they know they can down tools? You're absolutely right. What needs to be eradicated from Man United is ever downing tools again. We're not going to sell the whole squad in one summer and buy a whole new squad. So everything you say is right. These players need to be given a chance. But trust me, if people like Rashford, people like Bruno don't do well this year, Ten Hag will look to move them on. What he can't do is sell 20, barring maybe 1 or 2 players. They all deserve, in theory, to be sold. But you're never going to sell an entire squad in one summer. This is, again, I've seen people say this. This is a nonsensical, ridiculous notion for any fan to, I've got to get rid of all of them. How? What, and sign 23 players in one window? So you have to keep certain individuals. Certain people will be given additional chances to impress. It's just the way it's got to be. You know, it's a very unique situation at Manchester United that needs to be addressed in that way, in my opinion. But you may disagree. Rivals definitely disagree. Perisic at 31, 4 goals, 4 assists. Perisic at 32, 8 goals, 7 assists. Looking forward to 33. Listen, Perisic is a good player. Man United fans that didn't want him in 2008 are part of the reason that United are in this position now. Man United went through this period of caring more about their favourite players they were fanboying over the progression of their football club. And when you have a Jose Mourinho with it, when you have an Antonio Conte, you have to build the squad for them. You have to pick the players for them. You can't do it the other way. You can't go, no, we need a baller that Klopp would want to play in a Antonio Conte system. That's just stupid. That is just fans being dumb as fuck. Sorry to be rude, dumb as fuck. If you follow fans that believe these things, it says a lot about you. Like imagine, like just boil it down a minute. You want a manager like Antonio Conte to have a player that Jurgen Klopp needs. Stylistically, I'm talking about here. It's a bit weird, isn't it? When they don't play the same way. You know, it's about people getting what they want on a fashion level. Oh, I want to sign the ballers that make everyone on socials jealous. I want to get a shirt, name on the back of the shirt. Everyone goes, oh, wow, your club's got him. How about you club signs of players that are going to make you better than you are right now and play the best football for the manager and the system and the style and philosophy that you've adopted? And then when that manager moves on, you maintain that philosophy by keeping it fairly similar instead of chopping and changing every 2 or 3 years. Because everything Man United fans have asked for, they pretty much got. Oh, we want this baller, that baller, this, and we've got worse each time because we haven't followed a club philosophy. So every Man United fan that's ever pushed that notion is wrong. And they're proven to be wrong. They're part of the reason the club is where it is now. Simple as that. Sick and tired of it. Spurs doesn't have a world-class goalkeeper. They have Hugo Lloris. Fair enough. Perisic was the best right wing-back in Serie A last season. 33 is now the new 25. Well, if you stay fit, it pretty much is. There's no doubt about that. If you stay fit, that can definitely happen. Thank you very much there, Will, my friend. Next caller we're going to get on the show. We're going to go to Nabil's with us now. Super chatter, legend and super fan of the channel. What you saying, Nabil?
Hey, Terry, can you hear me?
I can. What do you want to say?
It's just the transfer window, right? For Man United perspective, I'm kind of happy. Not happy, but like it's okay. Like I'm not throwing my pans out of the channel. It's like it takes time. There is a new management. They are working hard. The main thing is that they are backing, as far as I know, they are backing the manager. They're signing their top priorities. The footballing people are making the footballing decisions. So that's a big change, right? And the only thing it's whenever I open Twitter, it's just like the fans, they contradict each other so many times. they don't want to overpay, but at the same time, they will say, just pay the money and get things done. I don't understand. Like, stick to your one story. It's the transfer window is not that complicated that people makes it. Right?
I couldn't agree with you more. There's a super chat here that says, I agree with not selling 20 players, but I want one sale of an underperforming player to teach a lesson. Well, Man United are trying to do that. AWB is up for sale, but clubs aren't offering what Man United want. So United are biding their time. There's still 2 months left. They're going to utilize some of these players in pre-season. And what you will do is maybe a few of them will look okay in pre-season. You know, they'll up their game, adrenaline pumping through their bloods, and you'll get slightly higher bids, especially if teams become a bit more desperate towards the back end of the window and you can charge them the money that you want. The worst thing Man United could do is sell an AWB for £15 million when if they waited 3 more weeks, they could get 25 million because that extra £10 million goes towards new deals. Football fans that say they don't care about how much players cost or are sold for, they just want them bought or sold. These people are idiots because you are essentially agreeing to the burning of your club's cash, which you then moan you don't have later on in the window when you want to sign additional players. It's absolutely the opinion. I don't know who's put this notion into their heads. I don't know what influencer, what journalist, what ex-pro. I don't know who's done it, but you've got to stop thinking like that because it's stupid. It's stupid.
And one more thing, and it's a question for you. Who spread that notion that every player that Man United needs to sign should come before preseason? Club said it?
No idea. Like, because do you want to know why I say it was weird? One, we've started preseason 7 to 10 days earlier than nearly every other club and definitely every other top 6 club. So we're 10 days early. So you've got those extra 10 days. You've got Calvin Phillips is going to be done to like the City are the only team really that have done multiple deals before their preseason has started. Arsenal are about to have 2. Liverpool just 1. Man United, if we were starting preseason on Monday and we announced 2 deals this weekend, we'd be in the same position as everybody else. But remember, these are fungus fans. Fungus fans only grow in the dark. They only grow in negativity. Just like fungus, they only grow in poo-poo. You know, they need the stench, they need the anger, they need the frustration, because if they remove that from how they speak, how they tweet, how they create content, nobody listens to them. Unless they're being negative or moaning, nobody cares.
Yeah, and it really blows my mind. Like those same people, they say one thing, oh, Ed Woodward was the problem. All right, he was, right? But the way you trying to operate that transfer window, it's similar to Ed Woodward. Just pay the money, regardless of whether we're gonna overpay or not, right? And just get it done. So there is a saying that like if you hate a guy's like if you hate something, you eventually become one. The similar thing, like it's like and it's just like it's annoying.
I couldn't agree with you more, Nabil. Listen, I appreciate you calling in, mate, and having your say. Thank you very much, my friend, and we'll chat again soon. Top man. Thank you. Pav's coming up on the show next to have his say. Pep and Klopp have had their systems for over 5 years now. Terry Ten Hag hasn't had one at United before. Yeah, I don't get the relevance of your point. Like, you need to like make a point at the end of that sentence, my guy, because that doesn't make sense. You're right in everything you've said, but what's the point on the end of it? What are you challenging? What are you saying? Like, we need the point on the end. Otherwise, it's just words, my friend. It's just words. Any Eriksen update? Look, Christian Eriksen is still deliberating around what he wants to do. The decision was expected this week. We may get an answer over the course of this weekend. Brentford, Man United are 2 leading candidates, but we know Newcastle and we know Leicester have seriously thrown their hat into the mix to try and get this deal done and dusted and sort of over the line, as it were. Sorry about that. An advert play. I didn't realize I had my phone open, then a big advert plays. Apologies. But yeah, as I say, like there's lots kind of going on at the moment out there. But look, we'll see what kind of happens and what transpires in relation to everything else. So I'm just checking a couple of bits. We're going to get Pav on in a minute to have his say. But yeah, there we go. Cool. Pav's coming on now to have his say on the terrace. Good morning, mate. What do you want to say?
I hope you're all right. Yeah, this couple of transfers, Malacia, I was happy about that, although I don't know a lot about him. But the fact that Lyon were in for him, he was pretty much almost signed for them, and then we come in. Still, people are saying he hasn't signed yet, but if he wasn't going to sign for us, he would have been a Lyon player already. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. They done the hard work. They had a fee, I think it was like 15, 14 mil, and we've added an extra mil or so to it. That means, obviously, I'm guessing it's going to be one of Luke Shaw or Telles is going to go, most likely Telles. I didn't like either of them last season. Both of them are crap. Luke Shaw has a history of injuries, weight problems, and Telles wasn't the player that we thought he was going to be. He had a couple of good moments, but it's not good enough. And someone like Malacia coming in, young, hungry, and obviously Ten Hag's done a lot of work on him. He obviously wanted them at Ajax. I'm happy with that deal. It hasn't cost a lot of money either. The Martinez deal, I'm 50-50 with it. I wouldn't be too upset if he went Arsenal. I've only seen him a few times, a couple of times for Argentina, a couple of times for Ajax. I was listening to another channel where the channel that Flex does. He has a few Ajax boys who comes on. They have their own channel, and they were saying that he wasn't being played for a few months. But the reason he wasn't being played was because the Ten Hag was transitioning him from a defensive midfielder into a centre back. Mm-hmm. And as soon as he slotted into that centre back role, apparently he was on it. So, yeah, he's kind of a utility player. We could use him in a couple of positions. And there was another thing I was listening to this morning on TalkSport where I don't know who the guy was, but they were saying a lot of clubs nowadays that don't go for the traditional 6'4", 6'3" centre backs. A lot of clubs want centre backs with a better pace and who can pass the ball out. And that's something that's wrong with Maguire, because we've all know the stuff that he does, and even with some of his passing, when he drives forward, he hasn't got the recovery pace. And we have Varane. So if you play someone like Lisandro with either of the two, I think you've got that bit of protection with your midfield as well. And like I said, I'm not too bothered if we get him or not. I think the price for it's a little bit high. But as I said the other day or week to you, a lot of these players, the inflation, it's a bit weird seeing some of the prices for the players that are going about. So yeah, I'll be happy either way if we get him. And if we don't get him, I don't know who else there is who's a Timber or Alessandro. They'll either have to wait till January or the summer next year.
I hear you, Pav. And look, I think this is what's interesting about Lisandro Martinez. As I've said, you look at the majority of games he's played centre back. I think who he picks to go to, yes, Ten Hag will play a part. Yes, Man United will play a part. Yes, Arsenal are a big club. I think it's about the squad status and position the individual is offered. So, for instance, if Man United say we are going to play you as a main centre-back, Arsenal say we're using you as a utility man, it's a different package. And that will play a part. If Arsenal say we're going to predominantly use you at left back and he fancies being the main left back at Arsenal, but we say you're a backup centre back, he'll probably pick Arsenal. Like, he may pick Arsenal. What we don't know is what he really wants, and not money, not manager, not club. Where does he want to be utilised? The reason that Gabriel Jesus favoured Arsenal above everybody else, yes, there's the soft facts and there's the Edu connection and the relationship he already had with Arteta. But the main reason he picked Arsenal over Tottenham and over Chelsea is that he was promised the chance to have the starting berth as the number 9, be the main striker. Barring bad performances, he's going to start. The other two clubs couldn't offer him that, and it's sometimes the package which is going to be key in relation to this. But you know, there's a lot of people, as I say, that stressing about Man United's window. And as I've already stated, if we were like every other club, pre-season would have started this Monday. And I know everybody wants signings done before pre-season starts. Thanks, Pab, for calling in and having your say. But Jay here says, I don't think AWB is a big enough player to create a shockwave. I will wait until the end of the window for a sale. Without doubt, we should get the best price. Well, AWB was a £50 million right back. It's a pretty big shockwave. Martial may go. Bailly was a £30 million centre back. He may go. Bruno isn't leaving. Rashford isn't leaving. Maguire isn't leaving. I think they're the three people look at as shockwave. No, none of those three are leaving, and they never ever were, to be honest with you. my man's come back here saying, I'm more working towards Terry's comment in regards to it's not needing to sign players before preseason. I see what you've done there. I didn't say we don't need to sign any players. I was responding to somebody's comment saying, why do people think we need to sign all of our players? You see the cross purposes here, what people do. Absolutely, before we go on our preseason tour, we need to sign some players. Are we going to get all of them in? No, but no club is. So why should we be angry at our club for operating in the same way that everybody else does? Very rarely do teams get all their business done in the modern day game before preseason starts. Interestingly, this too. So one, we started our preseason a week early, and two, our international players are not even due back yet anyway. If we'd have signed De Jong 2 weeks ago, he still wouldn't be training with Man United. I get a feeling that over the course of this next 3 to 4 days, United will announce a deal or two, meaning when pre-season for our international players is going to start, those players will be there or thereabouts with everybody else. The new financial year, the new kit being launched are all part and parcel of this. So let's not start twisting words. Definitely need some players before we go off on our pre-season tour. Play games together for fitness. Will we get and should we demand all of the players? This is stupid because no club or clubs seldom do this, my friend. I think it's very, very important to remember that. But as I say, some people just push this notion. It all needs to be done. Why? Because if you set an unrealistic expectation, you can then moan about it not being achieved. But what's the old saying? If you judge a goldfish by its ability to climb a tree, you're always going to be disappointed. We always do this as Man United fans. We set stupid expectations so we know we can moan later. So weird. So weird to me. Really is weird that people do that. Not so much you, my friend, but it's just very, very weird that people do it. I hate the narrative. What's this one here say? I hate the narrative of he can play in a couple of positions. If Tierney and Partey got injured, Martinez can't cover both positions. It's a good point. I like that. That's a good point. Will you stream preseason games? No, nobody should preseason friendlies, my guy. They're boring. Like, no, listen, they're boring games. I watch them, but I've said it before. This is why preseason is. I've seen Man United kill it in preseason, have terrible seasons. I've seen us do well, like bad in preseasons and win titles in my lifetime. I'll watch some games, but yeah, match reactions to a friendly. Why? It's just honestly, it's dumb. It really is, in my opinion. They're pointless. They're pointless. They're really pointless. I think all players in by the end of January. I'm cool. By the end of July, I'm cool with that. Lots of time is what Paul says there. Absolutely. Hi Terry. Any updates on Anthony? No, not really. The price is set. It's expensive. I think Man United do have other priorities first, and I think I think this is a deal they might come back to after selling a few individuals. I think. Dennis here says it's all about smart signings, not desperate signings. This was Tottenham's mistake, and I think Man U is in the same boat. Erik ten Hag, I like, and I think he will do well. I agree. I think he will do well. Listen, people, I appreciate you all tuning in this morning to the Terrace and having your say. Thank you to our super chatters, our new members, and all of you that have taken the time to listen today. We're back later on with more content for you. Dean Jones back on the show, 5 p.m. for big updates on Tielemans, big updates on Rafinha, big updates on Man United, all the London clubs as well. Do me a favor and smash the like button before you leave. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless.